The Skoda Rapid Spaceback Monte Carlo is today on Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars with Thomas. Our full review will feature general aspects about the Rapid Spaceback, but I will also go in detail on the Monte Carlo version, which is a top trim level version with visual aspects, especially also on the interior, so look out for that one. And we also draw some comparisons to the Volkswagen AG compact models. This will be interesting, but also to the other competitors. So we're going to take a detailed look on exterior, interior and the driving experience with this Rapid Spaceback Monte Carlo in Full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! In general, the Skoda Rapid is a pretty conservative car and more, a logical choice. But here in the Monte Carlo version, it also features some sporty elements, for example, a stronger lower bumper and also this comp structure and a low grille. Let's say that one that comes closest to a GTI for a Skoda Rapid. In general, we got those straight headlights, and in the Monte Carlo version, they also come with xenon lights. Standard would be halogen. 4.30 m or 14'1" is the length of this vehicle, and yeah, that's pretty much the size of Golf. It's just a little bit cheaper, about 2,000 euros cheaper entry price, for example, in Germany than the Golf. And then again, the Monte Carlo version is then 4,000 euros extra. So this is one of the most expensive Skoda Rapid you can get. And we also got the Monte Carlo badge here, black frames around the windows, black mirror caps contrasting to this special jungle green color, and we got 16-inch rims, so bigger ones, also in a two-color scheme. Really nice, beautiful setup with a sharp design line above the door handles, and then a rather classic layout. The sedan would be a little bit longer, like this longer, 18 centimeters longer. Here the Spaceback, of course, has a special feature with the panoramic roof. This is exclusive also to the Monte Carlo version. That gives another contrast on the roof. Then, of course, we have this hatch ending right there. Which one do you like best, hatch or sedan? And now to the rear, you can see this special schematic which the Spaceback is offering in contrast to the sedan version, where the black roof also dissolves into the black hatch here, and this gives a lot of contrast. Also in red, for example, the car looks pretty good because we have this very hard contrast. See all rounded shape in the rear, but we won't lose too much space on the inside. But overall, again, beside this glass contrast, a rather conservative design. So it's more about form follows function here again, which Skoda is also famous for. Car key, standard as we also know it from a Golf or in general MQB models. Closed, open, and still a solid door closing sound. Just the handles, they sound not that well. Then let's get inside, and solid build quality. A lot of parts are in hard plastic, but still they are still well processed for this material. Then real metal is used, for example, here. Also interesting, the shapes, window automatic functions for all four. Then leatherette used here. Reasonable space on the inside, and those simply clever features from Skoda, for example, a small trash can. Then on the inside, the Monte Carlo version is very special. Usually the Rapid Spaceback starts with normal cloth seats, that's nice, and here we got special fabric seats, sport seats with red contrasts, more shoulder support, and this integrated head restraint. So a very beautiful style, definitely. It would even more fit to a red exterior color for sure. And a special steering wheel. Unfortunately, this comes with an animal skin wrap. They're not developed that well in this case so far, but it has a flattened bottom, so, and a perforated structure. So it's really an Audi RS steering wheel. So you got those special sporty elements in the Monte Carlo version. And this can also make this GTI feeling on the inside, even though you don't have a strong car. Let's get inside. And it seems like this shoe clap is now my signature move. Some of you guys stated that one in the comments. Yeah, you know, if you want to be very tidy with the car, you always do that. So why not being it in the next signature move? 1.86 m or 6'1". My height, if you don't know it, we have got the panoramic roof standard in the Rapide, and then got plenty of headroom in the middle part. But when I move further to the A-pillar, then it gets close. The roof is pretty far down in the front. I will also talk about that when we drive the car. Steering wheel can be adjusted in very well and fastly and smoothly, so I really like that. Also the steering wheel is pretty compact, it has this great sporty shape. The seats, as I told you earlier, they are also better for long-term comfort. Those sport seats offer you a little bit more space on the one hand, but more support also on the other hand, so also recommendable for a taller person in general. And a standard MQB or Golf style space you have here in the front. So this is on the one hand pretty standard, but on a very high good standard. So what do we have here? Horizontal stress, a very cleaned up interior. Monte Carlo version features those carbon fiber style inlets. Brings a little bit more sporty emotion then. It's not with a huge infotainment system, but size is really enough. More details to that very soon. Below that is a climate unit. It sits relatively low, but you can still easily access it. And with those standard knobs, it's also working pretty fast to change it while driving. That's really no problem. 7-speed DSG comes automatically with this engine we have mounted here. And then the steering wheel, talked about it, with analog instruments behind it. So it's on the one hand an easy interior, but I mean, considering the price and also the quality, yeah, it's basically hard plastic stuff. You have to live with that for that price, but still everything fits very well to each other and makes a very solid impression. Glove box slides down smoothly, and you see there's a lot of stuff inside pushed right there. So in the front you can have either beverage holders like this, or this one would be, for example, for a smartphone or putting the key in there. And there's also USB and aux support right here. You can hardly see it, but this is the, for example, charging for your phone, or also connecting when you use the Apple CarPlay. Then still a manual handbrake. I like that. I like to have something manual in the car. And then there's an armrest with some space inside, or you can also adjust the height. Instruments, the classic setup, left RPM, right speed, and in the middle you can get, for example, some basic 2D sat-nav info, or also the digital speedometer. The infotainment system has this proximity sensor, then you can press those buttons, but you can also, for example, zoom in and out with the button here when you're driving. Other than that, we got good reaction times. You can zoom in and out like with a smartphone. Phone, you can connect either via Bluetooth, pressing on phone, or also it features now this smart link. Then you can connect it with the cable, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, or MirrorLink. So both ways are possible. I usually just use the Bluetooth function. And with car, you can also check consumption. This one can surely be lower. We also tested with lower consumption. It always depends on you. We've been going up a little bit now. But this is the basic functionality. I think a good, small and nice infotainment system with a good overview and the basic functions that are needed. So the panoramic roof, that is only available with a Spaceback version and is serial for the Monte Carlo. You can also add this shade if it gets too sunny. See, it's split in half. Well, it's manual, so less electronics. That's not necessarily bad. but then it's split here, so the other half has been done from the drivers behind, so it's not possible to do it while driving. But I mean, I'm quite okay with this solution. However, you cannot open it, but this huge panoramic roof lets a lot of light in for sure. So what about the rear compartment? Especially behind those sport seats, and wow, and I mean that's also what Skoda is famous for. It's a compact size car and there's really plenty of knee room. We usually have this kind of knee room in cars that are maybe 30 centimeters longer or something like that. Also the panoramic roof leaves, as it's really just a panoramic roof, nothing to open, leaves enough headroom here as well. So the package here, the space you get, is really phenomenal. That is one of the key factors here. And also if you compare it with the other compact cars from Volkswagen AG, it is even a little bit better here. So well done. And also in the Monte Carlo version features this high-class fabric surfaces here with nice concrete stitches. So we got this sporty style also in the rear. Some beverage holders and armrest, or also possible to fold it here as a ski hatch, then you can load things through. Other than that, you have to flip the seats from the rear like this, little bit hard. So it's a 2/3, 1/3 split, and we'll take a look at that one also from the rear. So if you don't know it so far, here at the fuel cap there's also an ice scraper. Comes with every Skoda and it's one of those so-called simply clever ideas. And indeed it's a marketing slogan, yes, but in this case it's also true. Then the hatch opens right here and you get a very easy access to the trunk. I mean, it's almost like an estate, but just a hatch. And you see also pretty low loading sill. You could put something more underneath, so a lot of space. This is here that you have a more even loading area, otherwise you would have the step in there. But you can decide that also anchor points for tension belts are in green there in the lower parts. So versatile this trunk, and you see this is the 1/3 split, and you can also fold it around for this one. And yeah, I mean, it's a short car, but so much space in here. So this is one of the key elements. This one can also be removed. Just hammer it. So I'll just hold it up, then you can see this is the maximum space you have here. And wow, what a result. One of the best elements of the car. And there's also an intelligent solution to close the hatch. You see this rubber strap is maybe not the most beautiful one, but it's so useful. And you see also how thin the hatch is here, that hardly any space is lost. And here you can easily close like this and your hands always remain tidy. So again, very good solution. So what's underneath the hood here? Well, no hydraulic dampers, but that's also not too bad. So this one here is a 1.4 liter TSI. It's the maximum engine is possible, 125 horsepower combined with the DSG, and that's reasonable power indeed. Front wheel drive, of course. There's also a smaller 1.2 liter TSI, either with 90 or 110 horsepower. And 1.4 liter diesel, 90 horsepower, or 1.6 liter diesel, 116 horsepower. And this engine we have here is an acceleration about 9 seconds from 0 to 100 or kilometers an hour, or 0 to 62 miles an hour. And that's the fastest engine, so about 1 second faster in this acceleration than any other of the engines, or maybe even 1.5 if you compare it to the weakest engines. You know, there's no huge engine available here, but it's also not necessary, because this is really a clever budget car with a really good quality, of course. And now to the driving part of the Skoda Rapid Spaceback Monte Carlo. This 1.4 liter TSI, 125 horsepower, is always combined with a 7-speed DSG. Of course, this gives you more comfort in everyday riding. And it's about a second faster, just to mention it again, than the other engines, at least a second faster. So the fastest engine that is available with 9 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. And first of all, what's the the main riding impression? Well, the steering wheel is always the major feature that you feel exactly while driving and that you interact with. And interesting is, this exactly feels like an Audi RS model, this steering wheel. So, and therefore also the riding connotation, the sporty riding connotation is really stressed. That's very interesting for sure. So also with flattened end, and yeah, it's really a good sporty handle. And with a DSG, it's always allowing sporty riding as well. You can also put the shifting stick to the right side, and you're in this S mode. The gears are turned up higher. I can show you that on a short Autobahn part as well, when we drive that one, what difference this is really making. So it's really interesting, for sure. Also have the digital instruments mounted. Turning indicators are very well to use, soft to interact with. Also have a good sound. And well, visibility to the front here, it's a little bit limited for tall people. And I mean, for all city riding part, this engine is surely enough, of course. I mean, it's the biggest one of that one. Autobahn riding we'll test right now because, well, it's always the question really, is it enough from the acceleration? Oh, sun is, I'm really lucky that the sun is shining today, but of course, always blinding. You see here the sunshade works pretty well, but here again, I'm, not that little. And so when I'm putting the sunshade down, I can't sit upright, I can't hardly see anything. So it's a similar thing that we've recently experienced in the Suzuki Baleno. The roof of the car is relatively low, so you have to move down with the seats totally when you're rather tall. That's an important issue for sure. And well, obviously it doesn't really educate you to stretch your spine, more to have a round neck, something like that. So that's really interesting. But other than that, those special sport seats, as we also mentioned in the interior part already, are really very nice. So they offer you good comfort and also good side support. You will see it now when I'm accelerating onto the Autobahn, that I don't tilt too much around to the left and the right side. So this is really a thing that also helps you in everyday driving. So really like those seats. So let's go, and we can also check out the acceleration now. And also the steering is rather direct. Not as direct, for example, in a Golf GTI, something like that. But I mean, for a normal compact car, good slalom possibilities here. Really like that. And for example, if we do some, let's say 80 to 120, let's go now. Plop, that's it. So you see this 1.2 liter turbo does have good performance. That's really okay. So even if we want to accelerate on the Autobahn, let's say when I'm hitting the throttle here with 120 now again, still something happening, still going forward. So this is also suitable for Autobahn riding. So if you want to do some accelerating on the motorway, I would definitely recommend you that one here. So about the wind noises, you see I'm 120 kilometers an hour now, and we've definitely experienced more silent cars. This one is also cheaper than the Golf, but this is, people always ask me, what's the real difference from a Golf now to a Skoda Rapid? Spaceback especially. Well, this one here is cheaper, yes, but maybe this is one of those small things that is better in the Golf, while you're paying maybe a little bit more for the Golf. Sound insulation is better in the Golf. You heard that now. And you might also want to see our most recent Golf video that Golf GTI Club Sport, there you can also experience that it will go fast on the Autobahn, and it's not really as noisy as it would be right in here. So this is a crucial finding. So this one maybe not the most suitable for long-term high-speed Autobahn riding, but then again it's also basically a German problem, so many other markets, they don't really care about speeds that are higher than 100 or 120. Here again, if you see good reaction from the steering wheel. Overview, by the way, I have a very good overview to the rear. That is really almost perfect. Also the sides, the windows, very steep. So also to this crucial part where you look to the rear, but then also a little bit to the side, we got those additional windows there, and this is really great. So this car offers you a great overview, and that's even better than the Golf, because maybe you follow our Golf Generations coverage, that one of the key elements of the Volkswagen Golf is this strong C-pillar, and that is not that prominent here. So here you have a better view to the C-pillar also. Then we also have some keys at the steering wheel. I can, for example, control the volume while driving pretty easily, or also set some different factors in the front screen then, so that is possible. The front assist is inbuilt here, means that the autonomous emergency brake. It comes at least when you have the higher trimmers or pick the assistance pack. So this engine here is basically recommendable. You got enough performance for this car. This car is also not too heavy. Still has good crash safety results. So that's always, have to think about the balance. And I mean, with this Monte Carlo version, you don't have a GTI power-wise, but you have a little bit of a Skoda, small Skoda GTI. You know what I mean? With a steering wheel, direct steering. I mean, engine power is enough with the sporty seats. So it's maybe a little bit visually from the feeling GTI. If you say, I don't want to afford more horsepower, or maybe I don't really need it, for example. So I mean, it's one of the best compact city cars for sure, because the package is really very good. That's for sure. That is also one of the crucial things here for sure. The brakes are also reacting pretty fast. I like that. I don't, with modern cars, it's really good if you don't have to hammer them that hard. You can in the corner, good stability, not tilting too far to the right or the left. Now this was a harsh bump in the road there. The car really had to work, but overall suspension, I'm satisfied with it. It's not too hard, not too soft. Of course, it's basically a normal compact city car, so it's not as stiff in any special sport version. So if I'm really, forcing the issue, but still, So the car feels relatively sporty overall if you compare normal compact cars in this segment to each other. And I mean, that also speaks for this Monte Carlo version for sure. Indeed, it's if you close your eyes and say, which car I'm driving in, could you really differentiate if it's a Golf or Skoda Rapid? Skoda Octavia is also something, is a larger car, and this one is between compact and mid-size segment. And they're all the same platform, they're all pretty much equal, I would say. Seat Leon, of course, is also very similar. There are a lot of similarities, and therefore it's also interesting to compare them and see, what's the concise offer you get at your dealer. Can you maybe save some money, or what's important especially to you? And this car here is surely bought by a lot of people who want to go for a reasonable car purchase. And I can very much understand that. I mean, if you look at the compact segment and driving-wise, and quality of materials and stuff, and what you have, also infotainment-wise, you can really very well understand that. Also consumption-wise, those small turbo petrol engines, they do consume a lot of fuel if you really force them. However, it really depends on your driving style. And I mean, with those 7-speed DSG, you can drive sporty, of course, but it also helps you drive very smoothly, because the DSG, the dual clutch transmission, has this very smooth transitions between the gears. Because how does it work if you don't know yet? As it says, dual clutch, so 2 clutches, and it's like 2 gearboxes combined, and it's not like it's shifting from one gear to another. It's more like, you see here, by the way, U-turn, easily done. It's more like that the next gear is already set in, and then the transmission is changed, or like the others change to the other side of the transmission, and therefore you don't really feel a transition when you're not hammering the throttle. So when you're riding very slowly, it's really without having a gear. So a very crucial point about this system. Talked about the S system. So if I move the gear to the right side, changes here in the upper part, it does not say D anymore, and then I can also don't have any shifting pedals here, but I can manually shift down with the shifting stick. For example, when I would be going downhill in the Alps and want to release the normal brake maybe at some point, then I use the engine brake and shift down by that. So that would be the main point for using that one here. However, still shifting down here by itself. But let's just see, recheck again if this S mode here also changed anything from the RPM or driving characteristics, because I think I mentioned that initially, because it's usually the case, but here obviously does not change anything of the torque. Also, it's not, for example, earlier shifting down, so this sporty aspect is left out here. So if you want to drive with higher RPM, then you have to do it manually, go to the right side with the shifting stick, and then shift down manually. For example, also before overtaking or something like that. But you've seen it initially also, when you just hammer the throttle, the car does a kick down by itself. This happens, for example, if you're in this S mode, then the car stays obviously in this gear. That could also be a solution. Let's try it again. Go to the right side. Yeah, you see, that's the effect. So the car stays in the gear, does not shift up. That's, not really meant for accelerating, but more meant for going downhill, that the engine brake is applied then. So interesting thing that also in the similar cars, they handle that differently. That was always a somehow tuned CLK, something like that. Funny sometimes how those tuned cars sound. Consumption-wise, by the way, we have scored at the moment, I can see it now, 7.5 liters on 100 kilometers. And I also think that could be a realistic value. Yeah, it should actually be lower for a compact car, and also for a small engine. But as I said, those turbo engines, they do consume some fuel. And however, you have to also say that we already had cars that scored worse with similar engines. But overall, I think it's a good combination. Would those other ones be too weak? I would say, if you're not doing overtaking maneuvers on the Autobahn and generally not using the Autobahn that often, then I think you could also go with a smaller petrol engine for sure. Does it make sense to pick a diesel? I don't think so, because it's not such a huge car. The consumption with a petrol engine is not that high. Then is it really a clever idea to pick the diesel then? Usually it doesn't really pay off in the end, because it varies from country to country about taxes, insurance, also fuel prices at the gas station. But usually we can rather say that with this car you'll be better off with the petrol engine. Also, it's rather silent, so the engine is well insulated. You know, we just hear it when I'm not shifting or in this S mode. Other than that, a good insulation to the engine. So this one is really silent, especially when you're keeping it at lower RPMs. Then you hardly hear it. So, and for the closing stages of this review, we'll go once more apart on the motorway and see the acceleration again, maybe listen again to the higher speeds. So I think from the driving, a very solid performance. We know all Volkswagen AG cars offer a certain standpoint of quality and also driving characteristics, because they've very well figured out the suspension setups also, that you always have comfort, but it's, you know, never too wobbly or tilting around. So that one is done very well for sure. The only thing that this one here is obviously that, you know, with the wind noises at higher speeds, then again this car is not really meant for the highest speeds. So, you know, if that's the only weak point, you can surely live by that. I think the main difference to the other compact competitors, if you think also about the Japanese competitors in the compact segment, is that this one here, at a relatively low price, already offers you a premium feeling, especially in this high trim level. And I mean, yeah, it's the Skoda badge here. But we got so many elements where we'd say, okay, you know, that could also be very well used in a premium car, and that's where we also have a grab. For example, this Audi RS style steering wheel. I mean, manufacturers are at the moment mainly still using animal skin for the steering wheel. You know, to me it's important to stress the sustainability factor here in Autogefühl. But of course, it's more important first to focus on the seats, because that's where more height is being used. But we've seen it also in the Tesla Model X, that you can have very good alternatives. So I hope that we'll have a transition in this aspect as well. So some more acceleration now. It's fun to drive the car, definitely. So even if we don't have the sportiest setup here, you see, it's fun to move the car around. And I mean, driving wise, I can only stress what I've experienced so far from the other aspects. This one here is surely one of the most clever choices in the compact segment, and therefore it's also pretty successful here in Germany, especially in this very Spaceback variant, which has this more versatile hatch there. So hope you enjoyed this tour here with me, and we'll hop on over to our final conclusion for the day. And now the conclusion, Skoda Rapid Spaceback Monte Carlo. Of course, the Monte Carlo version is the most expensive one. You have some surplus, but nowadays also cars get bought in a higher trim. However, this Rapid Spaceback is more, you know, if you want a very clever choice. Therefore, it's, you know, it's not a high share in the total model lineup of the Skoda Rapid Spaceback. In general, I would recommend you to do this version, because the sedan version, well, you know, it looks a little bit more old school. This one is also more versatile. It's shorter, yes, but you can very well load the things in the rear and have also a high trunk. So, I mean, for this dimensions, so versatile the car, so much space in the rear, in the trunk especially. It's almost something like an estate. even though it's a compact hatch, and I think that's the crucial point with this car. Also interior, good build quality, and the Monte Carlo version features those very nice racing style seats, so you get some more emotion in a car that is otherwise just, you know, or mainly good in a logical sense. So you can spice that up a little bit. And if you consider all of the facts and combine it with the price, it's surely one of the most clever cars to go for in the compact car segment. The only thing that was not that good was a little bit too high noises while driving at higher speeds. Other than that, I couldn't find anything other that would be, you know, complainable about. So I think that scored a very high ranking here at Autogefühl. Hope you enjoyed it. Also tell me what you think about this color, and of course about everything else in the comments right here at Autogefühl, because we are your #1 community also to discuss cars. And you will see us also at the next Autogefühl episode. I hope you'll join us there as well.